Welcome to the Soulful Valley Podcast, the sanctuary for soul-led entrepreneurs, creatives, and changemakers ready to rise. I'm your host, Carey, best-selling author, book collaboration mentor, publisher, and energy alchemist, here to help you tune into your truth, amplify your voice, and align with the frequency of miracles. Each week, we dive into soulful conversations, transformational journeys, and the energies that shape our lives and businesses. It's time to evolve on purpose, because the world needs your light, your words, your legacy. Let's begin. Are you ready to share your soul's truth with the world? We're calling in writers, mystics, and visionaries for 2 transformational book collaborations. Soulful Poems Volume 4 for the poetic voices of this new era, and Evolving on Purpose, Angels, Spirit Guides, and the Frequency of Miracles for those guided by the unseen. Your words have the power to heal, uplift, and ripple across the world. And if you've ever dreamed of being part of something bigger, we invite you to watch the trailers for our international award-winning movie and join our Zero Limits community on Facebook, where we're celebrating global premieres, backstage magic, and preparing for the big launch on Amazon Prime and Apple TV later this year. Check the show notes now to join the movement. Your miracle moment is waiting. Dr. Joe Vitale was once homeless. Today, he is president of the Napoleon Hill Institute, author of over 90 books, star in over 30 movies, including the hit movie The Secret, and he is a musician with 15 albums. He received the US President Lifetime Achievement Award in 2024 and the Los Angeles Tribune Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021. His own movie, Zero Limits, releases this summer. He has helped millionaires and billionaires, royalty and presidents. He is also a strong man who can bend horseshoes, nails, and bolts with his bare hands. At the age of 71, he began MMA training. He creates Miracles Coaching to help people get past their limits and live a flourishing life of doing the impossible. If you'd like to connect with Dr. Joe Vitale, check out the links in the show notes. Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley Podcast, Dr. Joe Vitale.
I've been excited to be here. Thanks for being in the movie, and thanks for having me here so we can chat a little bit.
I'm so excited to have you here, Dr. Joe, because you've been inspiring me for a long time. It's about 15 years now.
Wow.
15 years since
Wow.
I first came across you in the movie The Secret, as most people probably did.
Mhm.
And then I started to read some of your books and I took a few of your certifications. So I did your Law of Attraction Practitioner certification and your belief clearings and your Ho'oponopono. So
Mhm.
I got quite involved in your world, and my life changed back then quite dramatically. So I was in a job I hated at the beginning of that journey, and I ended up becoming a mindfulness coach, an EFT practitioner. I studied a degree. I set up a charity that was an
Wow.
alternative mental health charity. So quite a lot happened in those first few years. And then things started to happen to my body and I became
Mm.
disabled. But the one thing I hadn't changed was I was stuck in a toxic marriage to an addict. So my body was telling me I wasn't safe. And then a different sort of journey began in 2020. And then you flew back into my life again in 2022 with there were tons of synchronicities around me joining your movie. So
Mm.
you're very special to me.
I hear it. Well, you're the one who reached out. You're the one who did all the certifications. You're the one who went through all the material. You're the one who's been open to new discoveries, new information, new inspiration, taking new action. So you're the one that gets the applause. You're the one that gets the standing ovation. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. And I've loved being a part of your movie. I've loved the Zero Limits books as well. I read them first before jumping in. And uh, even me ending up in your movie, I went
Yeah.
into a session with one of our authors, and it was called The Soul of Your Business. And in this session, she said to me, "Oh, I don't see you creating books. I can see you in movies like The Secret or The Shift." And at the end, after that call closed, the next time I picked up my phone was the advert for your movie. So there was
Wow.
a massive synchronicity for me.
I think we all get these signs and opportunities to do things, but a lot of people just dismiss them. They think it's not for them, or they talk themselves out of it, thinking, well, what do I have to offer? Who am I? Who's going to listen to me? And what we have to do, and what you're already doing, is pay attention to the signs and know it is for me. I am the person, I am enough, and I have a contribution, and stand up and deliver. So I am delighted you said yes. I am delighted you're in the movie. You're a standout in the movie because you're inspiring. You tell your true story. People can relate to you. And then they start to think, which is what I want them to think, that if it can happen to her and it can happen to the other people in the movie and it can happen to Dr. Joe, then maybe change, transformation, and magic and miracles can happen to me too. So you're an inspiration. So thank you for being in the movie.
Oh, thank you, Joe. We've both mentioned synchronicities now, and I talk about it a lot on this podcast. But how would you describe what synchronicity is to our listeners?
It's more than a meaningful coincidence. A synchronicity to me is, I'm going to say it in a particular way, hoping I don't offend some people and that they're all open and minded enough to get it. It's evidence of God's hand in your life. And when I say God, I know that ruffles some people's feathers because, do they believe in God? Is God an old man in the sky? Well, change it to the divine, change it to the cosmos, change it to infinite intelligence, change it to nature, change it to whatever you feel comfortable with. But we have to admit that we are part of something bigger than our little egos. And that thing that is bigger than us sometimes reaches down and moves us around a little bit to help us in our growth. And that reaching down to help us in our growth is a synchronicity. It's evidence of the divine's hand in our lives. That's how I would define it, at least for today.
How can we get better at recognizing miracles when they show up?
That's a great question. I think first of all, we have to really pay attention. We have to really be alert. Most of us are so preoccupied with what we're doing, what we're going to do, what we want to have happen. We're distracted by thoughts, by social media, by the next shiny object. We're not here. We're not in the moment. We're not present. So the very first thing is to start to mindfully breathe so that we can let our breathing take us into our body and our body take us into the moment. So now we're present and we're available. And the next step would be to actually be aware. We're kind of on the alert for a sign. In many ways, I look at my life as nonstop signs, nonstop symbols. They're there all the time. And it's a matter of me just paying attention and looking and going, okay, that just confirms I'm on the right path, or that is the next thing for me to do, or that is the next person that I'm supposed to talk to. Whatever is there in the moment, I want to be aware and present enough to recognize it. And then the third thing would be to act on it. Because if I get it, I'm breathing, I'm bringing myself into the moment, I'm being aware, and then I get this inspiration, or there's this sudden, like the day you opened your email and there was an advert for the movie.
Mm.
You could have just
Well, I
dismissed
could
it.
have just scrolled past it, but
You could
the
have
fact
scrolled past it,
the
but
fact
you
she just
were,
said that to me in such a spiritual session,
yes,
and
yes.
also I've got a back history of working in television and radio, and that sort of
Uh,
thing excites me. So I was
there you
excited
go.
when I got to start the podcast,
There you go.
and a movie opportunity right in front of me because I had it. I've still got it that eventually I'll probably create movies of my own. That's
Yeah.
big dream, big dream.
Oh,
But
but that's entirely possible. That's the whole
yeah,
message of the movie Zero Limits, is that
exactly.
whatever it is, you can do it. There's no limits. It's
Yeah,
when somebody sits there and says, "Oh, I can't do that because I don't know anything about movies." We just established a limit. Or if somebody sits there and goes, "I can't do that because I don't have any money to make a movie," you just established a limit. Or if they say, "I can't do that because I don't know anything about directing or acting or connections in the movie business," you just established a limit. Zero limits is coming from the place of, what would you do if you really believed anything was possible? You may not know how to do it. You may not know exactly what the steps are, but you start. And as you start, then the synchronicities start happening. Then
yeah,
you find out, oh, this person knows the movie producer, or this person knows something. And one step at a time, you're led to the path to making the movies that initially you were excited about and initially you might have dismissed. But not you in particular. I'm pointing out for everybody here, you're getting signs, you're getting messages, you're getting inspirations, but most of us dismiss them. And I'm saying, let's be present, let's welcome them in, and let's act on them.
absolutely. And even just being part of this now, I've seen how this has been created. So that's an education for me at the same time.
Right.
I love a good education when you're in it.
Yeah.
You're in there, part of something, and you can see all of the moving parts, and then it's not so overwhelming. So
Mhm.
I thank you for that opportunity as well. Not just being
Well,
in it,
whatever
but
it is
being
that we want to
all of
do.
the, yeah, all of the experience.
Yeah.
If someone feels stuck, Joe, what's one thing they can do right now to get back into flow?
The easiest thing to do is make a list of what you're grateful for. And that's as simple as taking out a piece of paper, or you can do it on your phone and you can audio narrate it and you can record yourself on video and do it. But the number one thing to do is to start making a list of what you're grateful for. And at first, it may be superficial. "Oh, I'm grateful for my desk or my glasses." And then it may move into something deeper. "I'm grateful for my body. I'm grateful for my brain. I'm grateful for my eyesight. I'm grateful for my heart." And then it might even move into something even more deeper than that, to the things that we take for granted and we never mention, but they're keeping us alive. And it's things like air. Where's that coming from? And gravity. Who's in control of that? And the planet evolving and rotating and going around in the way that it does naturally, but I'm not participating in it, yet at the same time, it's helping me survive. As I start to make this list of things I'm grateful for, as anybody starts to do it, they move into a different vibration. They move into this sense of appreciation. They move into this inner world of gratitude. The beauty of it is you start to realize you're living the miracle. You start to realize everything that you have in your life is so much better than what most people are still struggling with. Or if you look in the past, I love to study history and I look at kings and queens and we all go, "Oh my God, what a life they had." You're probably living far better than they were
Yeah.
living. They didn't have a refrigerator or air conditioning or heat or a car or some of the things that we take for granted. And this is what I mean about starting to make a list that you're grateful for. At first, it's just the things laying around, and then you start to move deeper, and then you can move even deeper than that, and then realize you are living heaven on earth. That moves you into the divine flow. And in that divine flow, you realize you're not stuck and you've never been stuck, but you have more of an awareness of that flow and you can do things more out of the flow with more awareness and more consciousness. And that will alleviate anybody feeling like, "Oh, things aren't working out." Oh my God, they're working out in such a glorious way. It's unbelievable. And yet it is believable.
Absolutely. I came to a space as well where I could be grateful. There was at first I was upset because I'd been ill health retired because of my disabilities, but I got to a point where I was really, really grateful because it gave me the freedom to create the things that
Yes.
I'm now
Yeah.
creating. And
Yeah.
even though there may be some restrictions, but I feel like the universe slows me down for a reason. And then I see that's when I see things because I've been
Exactly.
slowed right down in
Yeah.
my bed for a day and then something pops up. A chapter came through one day last week. I was in bed because I was feeling really unwell and a chapter just flowed through me. And I've got arthritic hands. So, but I wrote a whole chapter in one go because it just flowed.
Wow. Wow.
So these are miraculous, magical experiences that it wouldn't have happened had I not been pinned down for the day.
You're illustrating a great lesson for people, and that is the appreciation of the difficulty.
Mm,
Instead of looking at what somebody else might complain about and blame the world or blame God for, you're looking at it as a positive. You're looking at it when you said that it caused you to slow down. And because you slowed down, you were able to receive. And because you acted on the receiving, now you have a whole nother chapter that you, because of what you took action on, were able to create. That's very healthy. That's very positive. That is using whatever's happening in our lives for something good. I'm wearing a shirt, sure, on a podcast. I can't see it, but it says, "Be the good." I used to tell people, look for the good, because it's always around there. Then I thought, well, what would be better than that? Be the good. Be the good. Go ahead and be the person who takes action. And that's what you're demonstrating. You demonstrated in the movie with your story. And that's why I want people to see Zero Limits. Your story, the other cast members, myself, we're all trying to help people look at life differently. But what you just said was so beautiful because you looked at what somebody else might let stop them as
mm.
something that actually moved you forward. That's beautiful.
And I've heard all of those excuses as well. It's funny because if I invite someone to be in one of my books
Mhm.
or to do something with me, and the excuses that come back are things that I'm dealing with. It's like I'm living with. So it sounds silly. It's like,
Right.
okay. Someone said to me recently, "Oh, I can't write a poem for your poetry book because I'm in a movie." And I was like, that's funny. Oh, I can't be in a book collaboration because I'm writing a book.
Right.
And I've got about 10 projects going on.
That is so you're
It's
highlighting
great.
this is you're very wise because you're highlighting another thing people need to pay attention to. And whenever they come up with an excuse, they need to reinterpret that in their brain as coming up with a limiting belief. So when somebody says, I can't write a poem because I'm doing blah, 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 they're actually giving an excuse. And as long as they buy the excuse, they will create that reality. But when they look at that statement as not as an excuse, but as a limiting belief, now they start to lean into, wait a minute, if it's a limiting belief, can I change it to a more empowering belief? And then it leads them to what would be a more empowering belief. Maybe something along the lines of course I can write a poem while I'm changing diapers or going to work or whatever it happens to be in their life. We can always find reasons and the space and the opportunity to do what we really want to do. But what we really want to do is also being framed by these excuses, which I'm renaming limiting beliefs. Since the movie and what you stand for, what I stand for, is all about zero limits, let's start looking at the excuses as limits and then move past it to what would be a life of zero limits. Oh, I can write a poem.
Thank you. Why do you think storytelling is so powerful for creating transformation, Joe?
Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, my goodness. This is the psychology of humankind. We live and breathe with the stories we tell. That's how we communicate. That's how we grow. That's how we persuade. That's how we teach. That's how we pass down information from generation to generation. Way before books, it was simply with oral tradition. It was simply stories. Only recently, one thing led to another. These are symbols and meaningful synchronicities taking place in my life. And I was brought over to Leo Tolstoy. And I had never read any of Tolstoy's material ever. I mean, I knew who he was, War and Peace and Anna Karenina and all of this. And I was led to a story and I read the story and I was like fried. Who in the world writes stories this magnificent? And then I went and bought a collection of his short stories. And every time I would read one, I would go, this is stunning. This is legendary. This is miraculous. My God, Tolstoy was beyond belief. He was almost supernatural in his ability to write. But what was he writing? He was writing stories. And what was he trying to communicate? He had become a Christian in later life, as I understand it. I'm not an expert on Tolstoy at all, but with my superficial top level look at his life, he had been converted and he was trying to write morality tales. He was trying to help people live in the moment, do the right thing, obey God, all of this. And how was he doing it? Through stories. Why was he using stories? Because stories stick. Stories are how we connect and how we understand. If I just rattled off a whole bunch of facts to you, you may or may not remember any of them, but most likely none of them will mean anything. Because I just told you a story about me and my story, discovering Tolstoy, you will probably be more interested in remembering this, and you'll probably remember the idea of stories, and you might even get up and go read a Tolstoy story after this, all because of a story.
Absolutely. And the book that you've got behind you of the autobiography of a yogi,
Yes.
I already had that book and I hadn't read it yet. And
Oh,
I moved house a few months ago and I can't find it. But because of your interview with Lalitha, I bought it
yes.
again instead of waiting to
Ah,
find it. But yeah, I'm a book
well,
lover. I'm
let's
a
bring
book
this
geek.
let's bring this full circle. How did I discover Tolstoy? In Autobiography of a Yogi.
Oh, wow.
Yogananda has a chapter called The Law of Miracles. And he begins it by quoting a story from Tolstoy. That was the story that intrigued me because I thought, well, if Yogananda read Tolstoy, I should read something by Tolstoy. That's when I went and found the story that Yogananda referenced in his book, Autobiography of a Yogi.
Uh,
And next thing you know, I was down this other road, and I still am on the Tolstoy road because I newly discovered it. So this is how the synchronicities take place when you're in the flow. They just happened again because if you needed reinforced to go read Autobiography of a Yogi, it just happened.
it did. You flashed out at me on your shelf as well when you were talking to me.
Right.
Um, Looking back, Joe, what's one miracle or surprise on your journey that you didn't see coming?
I'm going to tell you, I didn't see most of it coming. this is this is this has been a wild ride. I've given a talk or two, and I think I've made some Instagram videos saying this, that when you go for your dream, you go for your primary dream, the one that you are longing for, the vision, the one that's on your vision board, the one that you talk to everybody about, the one that you're almost obsessed with. When you go for that dream, a whole lot of side dreams take place along the journey. When I was a kid, I decided I wanted to be an author. I looked around and I saw unhappy people, and I thought, well, I want to write things that make them happy. I didn't know I was the unhappy one, and I was trying to make me happy, but that was the unconscious Joe who was a teenager at the time. I never once thought I'd ever be in a movie. The Secret came out of nowhere. I never knew anything about the internet. I was one of the first to be on the internet, wrote some of the first books on internet marketing, and some people who have known me for a long time know me as an internet marketer. I didn't know that I'd be interested in strongman training at one point, and that's when you pick up metal like a horseshoe and you bend it. I've bent horseshoes and driven nails through boards and bent metal and steel bars and wrote a book about it. I didn't know that I would become a musician. When at the age of 60, which is now 12 years ago, I decided I wanted to be a musician, and I've recorded 15 albums. I didn't know that when I turned 71, that I would enroll in mixed martial arts classes, which I have done. And I'm going to class tonight. I've already got my white belt, a gold belt, and I've told everybody I'm going to have a black belt by the time I'm 75. All of this, I did not know when I was a kid dreaming of being an author. But as I went down that main road of making a dream come true, I tell people a whole lot of side dreams manifest and they surprise you in how miraculous and magnificent they are. But I didn't focus on those. In many cases, I didn't even see them coming. They came out of nowhere. And because I'm now working on 72, I don't even know what's next, but I'm open.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. the musical, the 15 music albums is a real
Yes.
biggie for me because I used to be a singer and an actress, and I used to
Mhm.
write songs in my teens. So when the poems came through, there was a little thing of they're supposed to be songs, but I'd closed the
Yeah.
door on that one because I
Ah.
was told I was too old in my 30s.
Well,
So
this is
so
what,
you've woken that up again in me.
there you go. There you go. And that's what I want to do. I think that's my mission is to inspire people to go for their own missions, inspire people to go for their own dreams. And that's what I want the movie to do. Zero Limits as a movie, I wanted you in it. I wanted the other cast members in it because of your inspiring stories. I wanted to tell my stories in it because I want people to sit on their sofa, watch that movie, and awaken to, oh, maybe I could write a song. Maybe I could write a movie script. Maybe I could open the bakery. Maybe I could travel to Istanbul or wherever the heck you want to go. Maybe. And then you start to play with the possibility. And the next thing you know, you're off the sofa and you're on your way, inspiring people. That's what I want the movie to do.
Thank you, Joe. Is there anything I haven't asked that you'd like to mention while you're here?
Oh my goodness, there's probably 1,000 things that'll occur to me afterwards. I think it's important that people realize that there is a world premiere of the movie Zero Limits happening in Sacramento, California, June 26th. And this is a big deal. This is a VIP red carpet. Los Angeles Tribune will be there covering the event. There'll be some separate media there, photographers there. Most of the cast will be there. I will be there. I understand you're not going to be able to make it for this particular showing,
No,
but a lot
but
of the
I
other
but I
folks.
I am at one in London.
And you are going to be at the one in London, yes. And people should just go to zerolimitsmovie.com. The trailer for the movie is there, zerolimitsmovie.com. And then I think the various showings, like the one in London, the one in Sacramento, are listed. And I always get people to ask, so I have to answer this. The movie will not be streaming online until probably October of 2025, at which point they can see it on Apple TV, Amazon, and probably some other places. But again, zerolimitsmovie.com is the headquarters for finding out about the movie.
Thank you, Joe. And where else can people find you if they want to come and discover more of your magic?
Well, thank you. It's kind of you. I'm not hiding. I'm all over the internet and have been since the early 1990s, before we called it the internet. I post original content on social media virtually every day, particularly Instagram. So I would invite people to find me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Dr. Joe Vitale, DrJoe Vitale, and follow me, and I'll do my best to entertain and inspire and inform and educate along the way.
Thank you, Joe, for a magical, miraculous interview.
Thank you. Great pleasure. Great question. You're a great inspiration. And thank you again for being in the movie Zero Limits.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Hi, I'm Katish Haberfield, and I have participated in two of Katie Carey from Soulful Valley Publishing's book collaborations. The first one I collaborated in was Entangled No More, and I wrote a chapter in this one which helped me articulate the benefits of past life regression therapy. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, past life regression therapist, and I am also a business strategist from a spiritual approach. Not only that, but I also divinely channel directly divine feminine and divine masculine energies. So for this was a business expense for me. So I got to show my expertise, and I own the copyright of my individual chapter in here, so that I can use it for blog posts and social media posts. So you can see, here's my chapter here. The second one I did was Soulful Poems, and I just submitted one single poem to try it out. and it was a past life memory poem. So I was just listening to some music, which had the cello and the shruti box, and it was a Plum Village app that I was using, and I just started crying and had a past life memory, and so I wrote my past life poem. The good thing about working with Katie in the poem collaborations is that, wrong way, you get your own barcode, a QR code, sorry, that goes directly to your website, and you get a whole page which is a profile. So that is also a business expense for me, and I have participated with a full selection of poems in Soulful Valley third book in the series, and a small selection in the fourth book in the series. So if you're wondering, you also get the benefit of being able to earn affiliate income by referring your other friends and poets to either write a chapter, write a book, or submit a poem. And that's about all from me. So if you feel the creative urge to express your soul, you can join Katie's collaborations. And also don't forget to look me up at katish.com and listen to the Infinite Life with Katish Haberfield podcast on all podcast players and YouTube. And our very same Katie Carey is a guest on many of the episodes. So namaste, and I hope to see you in a book collaboration soon.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Soulful Valley Podcast. If today's episode spoke to your soul, share it with someone who needs it, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts to help others find our sacred space. Want to go deeper? Check out the show notes, where you can find links, all of our opportunities and communities. And step into your power as an author or poet in one of our next best-selling books. The next chapter of your soul-led journey starts now. Until next time, keep evolving on purpose.